Hello, I am Dan from Ace RV Rentals and Sales, and today we're going to be taking a look at this 2022 Dutchmen Kodiak SE Model 24SBH. Today, just like always, I'll be giving you the full walkthrough, outside then inside, so you'll be all prepared when renting from us. Now for the dimensions of this RV, we haven't written it here yet, but it is 29 feet in length. And as for the height, we like to say 12.5 feet, especially for new customers. You just want to keep that extra pocket space above there. So watch out for places like parking garages, drive-thrus, and tunnels. Just keep 12.5 feet in mind. Underneath this cover here, we have two standard 20-pound propane tanks. These should last you a good week or so before you'll have to refill them. If you do have to refill them, truck stations and campsites, they will fill these up for you. Propane will power your refrigerator when you're not plugged in, as well as your water heater, your stove, and your furnace. Behind the propane tanks, we have our house battery. The house battery is going to be for very minor electrical things, like your lights, water pump, slide-out awning, just very small electrical things. It'll be charged when you are plugged in at your campsite, as well as when you're plugged into your vehicle and the engine is running. So you can leave this on. The switch for that is going to be here. You can just leave that on. It won't drain out unless you plan on leaving your RV parked without power for several days at a time. We're going to move on to the driver's side over here, starting with this big storage area that goes all the way across the front here. In here we've placed our hitch, some extra blocks for the tires, and then we also have our power cord. This power cord and the RV is 30 amps. So you want to make sure that whatever campsite you're going to takes 30 amp service. Once you're plugged in at your campsite, all the major electrical appliances inside will be working. That'll be your AC unit on the roof, your microwave, your TVs, and all your outlets. Going on to near the end of the driver's side, we have sort of our water system, some of it here. I'll just point out we have our city water connection here, as opposed to our fresh water, which is going to be on the passenger side. Both of these will use the same hose, but they'll be for different purposes. The city water will be for when you're at your campsite and you want to take water from their pump instead of from your own tank. So you're going to take the hose that we'll give you, you're going to hook it up in here, and this will bypass your water tank on the vehicle, and it will instead go straight into your pipes. Next to that, we have our tank flush valve. You won't have to worry about this. It just helps us sanitize our tanks for the next customer. Next to that, we have our power cord connection. So you're going to plug in that 30 amp power cord right over here. Also near the back of the driver's side, we have our dumping station. You're just going to take the sewer hose that we'll give you, take this end with the teeth and clip it onto this outlet over here, and then take the other end with the elbow and you stick this in the ground at your sewage. From there, all the way in the back of the trailer, we have our two valves for our two waste tanks. We have our valve for the black tank, that's our toilet water, and then we have our valve for the gray tank, that's our sink and shower wastewater. So we recommend you open up the black one first and then the gray one to kind of flush out your hose. When it's pushed in, it's closed. When you pull it out, it's open. Once the levels on the control panel inside of the RV tell you that these waste tanks are empty, you can push each of them back in to close it, unscrew your hose, and you're all good to go. Onto the back of the trailer, there are a few things I should point out. First of all, we have our spare tire over here. We have our rear view camera over here, so when you put your vehicle in reverse, you have a display that'll pop up. And then we also have our hot water exhaust. Of course, expect it to be hot and don't put your hand there. And next to that, we have our outside shower. You can just, we'll show you where the hose is. You can just hook it up in here. It's just to spray off dirt or sand before you head inside the vehicle. And now onto the passenger side, we have our storage compartment over here. This houses our outside refrigerator, although you will have to be plugged into shore power for this to work. Below that, we have our first set of leveling jacks. These will be running on the house battery, the little battery up front. You can just hold down, extend, bring them down, and retract to bring them back up. We also have a second set up in the front. Now here we have our freshwater inlet. This is the counterpart to the city water inlet. You're going to use the same hose, but this will be for when you want to fill up your tank. So when you're out driving, you want to use the sink, shower, toilet, you're going to be taking it off of your tank, and this will be how you fill that tank up. Next to that, we have our exhaust for the furnace. Of course, don't put your hand there. Moving along, we have our TV cable inlet. We will provide you with the TV cable, so you just want to hook it up in here and hook up the other end at your campsite if you do have cable hookup. If you don't have cable hookup, that's okay. There's also an antenna for this RV, so you can find local channels through the air instead. Above that, we have some power outlets. You just want to make sure that you're plugged into your shore power with your power cord for this to work. Here at the front, we have our second set of stabilizer jacks, just the same as before. And lastly, we have the other end of our long storage compartment. We have the sewer hose I showed you, and in this bag we have a few other things. First off, we have this white hose here. This is the hose for our city water and freshwater inlets. We have this blue spiral hose that would be for your outside shower on the back of the trailer. We also have our small black wire. This is our TV cable. And then lastly, we have a 30 amp to 15 amp adapter. So you can put this onto the end of your power cord. If you don't have 30 amp service, it'll just convert to like a regular wall outlet. Although if you are plugged into 15 amp, be aware that some major electrical appliances will not work. For example, the AC, it'll be too powerful. So that concludes the outside portion of this walkthrough. We can head inside here. Starting off with the entry steps, you can just pull on this bar to bring these down. 1 and then 2. And then just do the reverse to bring it back up. Push it back in, just like so. And of course, here's our cabin door. Just open it up like this. And we also have a detachable screen door right here. We have a few important things at the entrance here. We have our fire extinguisher for safety purposes. We also have a smoke detector and carbon monoxide and propane detector inside the trailer. We also have our combined fuse box and circuit breaker box over here. We will provide you with some extra fuses during your rental as well. Here at the entrance, we have the most important part of the inside of the trailer. We have our control panel, which will tell you pretty much everything you need to know about the inside and outside. Start off with the top part here, which will tell you the levels of your tanks. So starting off, as I push down each of these buttons, these will light up from empty to full. So fresh is your fresh water. Push that down, you can see that lights up to full. We have our battery, our house battery, that's 2/3 charged. Our black tank, toilet water, is empty. And our gray tank is empty as well. You won't have to worry about black 2 or gray 2 since there's only one bathroom for this unit. To the right here we have some light switches. Porch light is the LED strip for the awning outside. And below that we have our ceiling lights, just some galley lights right, just the main ceiling lights inside. Here we have our water pump switch. So I can just switch this on and it will draw water from your tank. That means that if you are using city fixtures, a city pump at your campsite, you want to have this off since you want to use their pump and not your own. We can heat up our water in 2 different ways. We have our propane gas and our electricity. Normally you'd use your propane gas. When I switch this on, it'll take up to 10-15 minutes to heat up your water. So only use it when you need it since it'll be constantly draining your propane. Alternatively, if you are plugged in at your campsite, you can use 110 volt electricity instead to heat up your water, just to save some of that propane. This glide switch is for our slide out, which is out already. This is going to run on the house battery, so you can just keep that on, of course. I can just hold down out to extend it and in to bring it back in. Similarly, we have the switch for the awning. We can hold it down out for it to extend and bring it back in to retract it. It will go out about 8 feet total, and it's only for shade, so if it gets windy or rainy, we should bring it back in immediately. We'll continue on the inside in the back here. In this corner we have our bathroom. Our toilet is kind of like an airplane toilet. You just want to push down on this pedal here to flush it down. Of course, you want to make sure that your water pump is on or you're plugged into your campsite for it to flush down. And I should mention that toilet paper is RV specific. It is RV Marine dissolvable toilet paper. You can get that at campsites or the camping section at Walmart. During your rental, we'll give you a couple bottles of solution for the toilet. You can just pour that down there whenever the smell comes up from the black tank. Apart from that, it is a standard sink and shower. Across from the bedroom, we have our bunk beds here with a privacy curtain that goes along the front. Also near the back, we have our thermostat, so I can go through each of these options. We just have 3 buttons here. I can just keep pressing the mode button to cycle through the different modes. So I'll press it once. Right now you can see it's off. One more time, auto with the fan, that means it's just the fan running. One more time with the snowflake and it says cool, that is our compressor and our AC. One more time, that's our furnace, that will be running on a bit of the propane and house battery. And then one more time to go back off. And of course, these other two buttons will adjust the temperature. To my right here, we have our first TV for the living area, and below that we have a little bit of storage and an electric fireplace. This wall actually opens up for a bit more storage for this trailer. Further along, we have our kitchen area, so we have a standard house microwave. Below that, we have a 2-burner stove, so we just have our nightlight right here, and then each of these dials will be for the 2 burners. It will indicate which one it is. You can just set it, and then there you go. Across from the kitchen area, over on the driver's side, we have our refrigerator. The fridge will run on propane when you're not plugged in, but when you do plug in at your campsite, it will automatically switch over to electricity. So no matter what, your fridge will be kept on your entire rental. And the last thing for this kitchen is just our standard kitchen sink. To operate the windows, you just pull this latch outward and then pull it back like this. Although not the whole way, since this is an emergency exit. For the blinds, you just tug on it once to bring it down, and one more time to bring it back up. This is our dinette area. This will turn into a bed, and I can show you that right now. First, you can just wiggle the tabletop off, just like this. And you can do the same thing with the poles. Next, you can remove these cushions here. Next, you can take the tabletop and rest it on these ledges here. And lastly, you can take all the cushions and lay them across like this, and here is your bed. We can also make this dinette as just 2 separate sofas, so this middle area can just come out like this. You can put these poles in this second formation like this. And lastly, you can flip the tabletop 90 degrees into this direction, and here is our 2-person dinette. And in the front, we have a master bedroom with a privacy door. In here, we have a lot of storage up and around in the back here as well. 2 windows, and we even have our own TV as well. During your rental, we'll also give you this little envelope which has a bunch of useful things. We have this QR code you can scan to get an online guide / FAQ. This will answer most of your questions. And if they don't, we have a 24/7 roadside assistance number via CoachNet. You can just call this number with any questions you have, provide them with your reservation code that we'll give you, and they can answer any question you have. We also have our registration for the trailer in here, as well as some extra fuses for the fuse box. As for the keys, we have the purple one here, which is for the cabin door. The silver key here is going to be for the outside compartments. And then we also have our contact information right here if you have any questions about your rental itself. And that'll be all for our 2022 Dutchmen Kodiak SE Model 24SBH. I'm Dan from ASRV Rentals and Sales, and have a great trip.